Thank you for watching this video and encourage you to watch more. We'd love to have you come study with us. Today is going to be a typical example of basically what we do when we study Bible. We'll look at different scriptures depending on topics. But today we're going to look at basically just in the last two chapters of Matthew 27 and 28. And it's after Jesus had died. And so let's look at, this thing is called, today's lesson called Watch Guards. Couldn't even come up with a name because there's several topics in here. But I thought, let's pay attention to these guards that are on watch and just title it that. All right, so let's get started. Now, Jesus's body, so we're looking at Jesus has been crucified already. You know what happened? There was an earthquake. He was on the cross. There was an earthquake. And then from 12 noon to 3 p.m., there was a total eclipse of the sun. And then Jesus, with a loud voice, he yelled out, Eloi, Eloi, which was Psalm 22:1. And then when he gave up the ghost. And so his blood and water poured forth on planet Earth was significant. Now we're going to look at what happened to the body of Jesus and what all happened during those 3 days and 3 nights that he's in the heart of the earth. All right, so let's start off with Jesus's body had been placed in Joseph of Arimathea's new tomb, hewed out of rock. And the name of that's called a sepulchre. So it's like a gravesite, other than it's on the side of a mountain. All right. Now let's start with Matthew 27:59. It's Matthew 27 is one of the longer chapters in the New Testament. But let's start there because it's going to get pretty interesting. And then when we're reading now, Matthew 27:59, and when Joseph had taken the body. Now, this is not Joseph, Jesus's earthly dad. He was not well spoken of. This is actually Joseph of Arimathea. That's why I put that in the title. Now, when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth. Okay, so why would you do that? That's what the Jewish tradition is when you go to bury someone. He had already bagged that used to. I encourage you to read the verses before Matthew 27:59, and you'll see that he went and begged for the body, begged Pontius Pilate, hey, can I take the body of Jesus and go give it a proper Jewish burial? And he was granted that. All right, the next verse, Matthew 27:60. And it would be Jesus's body. And he laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. Now, how he rolled this great stone in there, probably used oxen. But we do know that Joseph of Arimathea was wealthy. It mentions that in the early scriptures. And he was politically connected because he could approach Pilate. And, not the citizenry doesn't always just get to go to the governor. Now, another thing, too, if you want to look at this word hewn, today we don't have the N after it. So that's why we saw up here when I said hewed, which is past tense. This HEWN is the Old English. So that's one thing you can notice. Now, he laid it in his own tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock. Okay. So he'd cut it out. He had a place for himself, how rich people get buried. All right, now verse 61. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Well, let me think about that a minute. So, what you guys followed him out there or something? Let's see. So he would go be buried in the stones there. And now these two ladies of great faith, they know Jesus is buried in there, and they're sitting against the sepulchre. Okay, quick question. Where are the men? isn't there like 11 apostles? I mean, one of them went and committed suicide, but we have 11 apostles, been following Jesus for 3 years, been taught an incredible amount of truth, and we find out, well, actually, they're hiding. Oh, well, why are they hiding? Well, because they just saw the Jesus. He got arrested and got convicted and got crucified, got killed. Oh, oh. And if we're following him, same thing may happen to us. So, yes, they all went and hid in an upper room. But you notice the women here. Another thing, too, when Jesus was being crucified, they made the women stay, it's what's called afar off. So if you were to look in earlier Matthew 27, you'll see they had the women in the back. But they had the mob up front. So you had the mob egging on the government to go ahead and crucify Jesus. Anyway, I found this interesting. Two ladies come to the gravesite, and they're just sitting there against this stone, the gravesite. Verse 62. Now, the next day that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate. Okay, well, let me think about that a minute. Next day followed the day of the preparation. Okay, well, this is where when you go study, you'll find out that Jesus died either on Wednesday, if you're looking at the Jewish calendar, it's a lunar calendar. The Roman calendar was solar, so it would be on a Thursday. But we know that the body of Jesus was in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights, just like Jonas and the whale. So here we go. He would have to, the next day, you got to remember, Passover starts Friday at sundown. Okay, that's actually the beginning of a day in the Jewish calendar. All right, so the day of preparation would be before that. So this, as you can see already, it's the next, Jesus has already died. So now the next day that followed the day of the preparation, chief priests, that looks plural. That looks plural. Pharisees, that looks plural. All right, so they all came as a group to Pilate, the governor. It's a guy that has the power to do things in society. All right, and then what are they going to ask Pilate about? Saying, sir, we remember that deceiver said while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Okay, now, so you guys heard his teachings. You guys are what? You're the chief priests, Pharisees, and then what do you mean you remember? So you were listening to his teachings. He taught you the truth. He was saying truth. What did they do? Stick in your mind or something? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, we remember the thing. Okay, what are you going to do? Quote him? Yeah, I'll give you the quote. He said, after 3 days, I will rise again. This I means Jesus. See, I'm just quoting him. He said, hey, after 3, well, so what? So if he said that, you don't believe anyway. Why are you concerned about that? Well, is that bugging you in the back of your mind somehow that it might be true? Oh, yeah, look at that word remember there. All right, so I see people today that'll hear truth and then not act on it. All right, verse 64, command. Well, yeah, Pontius Pilate, you're in charge. You're the governor of the working for Caesar. So, and you're governor of our land. And you know what you do? You make commands and people go do it. All right, so we're going to tell you what to do. There's a bunch of us. We're all our chief priests and Pharisees here. We got a favor to ask you here. Command, therefore, that the sepulchre be made sure until the 3rd day. And there's a comma there. Okay, what sepulchre? What you guys follow Joseph of Arimathea out to the gravesite? Huh? How do you know he's buried in a sepulchre out there? Well, you guys taking a big interest in it. You already had him killed. Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure until the third day. Yeah, so we only need you to have this thing we're wanting you to do for us. It's only for 3 days, okay? So we're not asking that big a favor. Now, let me tell you why. You see this word lest, which is unless. His disciples come by night and steal him away. And then they're going to say unto the people, he is risen from the dead. And notice the colon there. He's risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. Well, what does that mean? What error? What are you talking about? Oh, well, the first error is he said he was going to be raised from the dead. He said, I'm going to rise again. You see verse 63. I'm going to rise again after the third day. Okay, that's error number one. But error number two, which would even be worse, was if his body gets taken out of there and then his people go say, hey, he's risen because the body's not in the grave anymore. And that'd even be worse than it was than what we said at the beginning. Oh, okay. Yeah, so anyway, he said he was going to be right in there. Here's what you need to do. You command your soldiers to go over there and you watch that gravesite and keep those people, we're calling them disciples, his people, make sure they don't come over. You know what they're wanting to do, don't you? They're wanting to steal him. So you're going to steal Jesus. Well, yeah, but I mean, he's dead. So yeah, they would be stealing the corpse. Oh, okay. Yeah, and that'd be worse than the fact that he's actually died and went in there. All right, so let's see what Pilate says to him. You know, I mean, you got to make a good story. So I'm sure Pilate will say, okay, let's see what he says in 65. Pilate said unto them, ye have a watch. Go your way, make it as sure as you can. Oh, what do you mean you have a watch? Well, that's what today's lesson, that's why I named it today, the watch, when I said up here, watch guards. Because why? I don't know if you know this or not, but the Jews have their own society inside a society. Okay, actually the Roman government are the one running the land, but it's Abraham's land according to the Jews. You know, well, Caesar's army came over and took over the land, and then plus you guys had warped the laws of Leviticus anyway. So, gee, that's the time for Father's going to send his son down there. All right, you have a watch, Pilate says. You got your own guards. You got your own little military. See, you know, the Jews have their own military, their own guard, you know, kind of like we constables type thing. Yeah. So they have their own watch and they do their Jewish laws and they have their thing. Well, that's all under the guise of the Roman government. All right. Now, no, I'm not going to send my guy. If you think that this guy's going to be raised from the dead and you remember what he said, well, go set your own watch. I'm not going to waste my my Roman soldiers for something for you goofy Jewish people. And the guy's going to raise from the dead, and me go no, you put your own people there. Okay. So you have a watch, and then you go make it as sure as you can. What is this here? Well, that's the sepulchre. That's the gravesite. Remember, the guy's already rolled a big stone in front of the entrance of it where you can't get in. All right, so let's look at verse 66. Matthew 27:66. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. Okay. So it wasn't good enough to just a big stone set and block the entrance where no one can get in. You guys put cement around it or something? Yeah, we're going to seal it. There's no way that his disciples are going to get in there now, because not only is there a big stone in the way, we sealed it up. Okay. And then you know what? We are going to set a watch. Pontius Pilate didn't send his guys over there, but we got our own military guy. We got our watch. So we'll put our guards there. They'll keep those disciples away. There ain't nobody going to come steal this body. And we'll make sure we sealed it up. I don't know how many guys that took, what kind of effort that took to sit. All right, so ain't nobody going to get in now. Let's go to chapter 28. I think that ended chapter 27. All right, chapter 28, verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath, when is the end of the Sabbath? Well, if it started Friday night or Friday at sundown, it ended Saturday sundown. Okay. So at the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, okay, well, that's interesting, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. Okay, why? Who was that was up here in verse 61? It said Mary Magdalene and the other. So they're the ones that were sitting over there at the graveside, huh? Okay, now you come down here to Matthew 28:1. Same two ladies. When today we'd call them sisters in Christ. In the end of the Sabbath, came Mary Magdalene, the other Mary, to see the sepulchre. I'm asking you again, where are the men? I get tired of hearing this. Oh, the Bible written for men is by men, is for men, and it's a male thing. Really? Well, where are they? Huh? I got two women here that look like they got more faith than the 11 guys you said were up there in that room. Where are they at? Didn't they hear that Jesus is going to be raised from the dead at the 3 days? Why ain't you at the gravesite? Huh? I got these two faithful women here, and what are they doing? Hey, you know what? I believe him. He said he's going to be raised from the dead on the first day of the week. We're going to get over there early. Man, it just began to dawn. We're already there. Well, how early did y'all get up? Because you had to walk to the gravesite. Yeah. So now as it's beginning to be sun up here on Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene, the other Mary are there. And I'm asking, where are the men? All right, and verse 2, and behold, there was a great earthquake. Hey, there was an earthquake when Jesus was on the cross. Yeah, well, we got another earthquake. Did you know how the earth, the last day on planet Earth, you know what happens? The whole earth quakes. Not a spot, not a deal along some fault line somewhere. The whole planet shakes. Yeah, so just toss that in for free. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For the angel of the Lord, you think Jesus knew who that was? For the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. I thought you guys sealed it in. I read up there in verse 66 that you guys had that all sealed up. And we're talking about what one angel came down and did what? Rolled it back. What happened to that sealing? And you guys sealed it up and sat upon it. Okay, why are you sitting on it? Well, because they can be seen much easier. Oh, yeah. I'm just set up here. Anybody that's watching can see me sitting here, roll the stone away, and the one I rolled away, I'll just sit on there. And we find out too, there's angels in there at the graveside also tending to Jesus. Huh. So his body's what? Oh yeah, same body. Spirits return to that body. Okay. So there was an angel that came down. His countenance, who is this his? This angel of the Lord. We already got the noun here. Angel of the Lord. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And there's a colon there. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and became as dead men. So what we call it a zombie, where you're actually alive, but there's no movement or anything. You're just staring off into space. Well, yeah, except they're not staring off into space. They're staring at this angel sitting on top of her. I mean, I got hired by the bosses to come here to watch the gravesite It's all sealed in. And now I'm just standing here and I saw this angel guy come and roll that away. And now he's sitting there and I can't move a muscle. And so I thought you guys called these guards. Well, actually, I have it bolded up here. They're called a watch. They set the watch, and now he's using the keepers. So see how we do pronouns? So now he said the keepers did shake. So the guys that are on watch. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Well, I just saw the impossible. I just saw the impossible. All right, let's skip down to verse 11 because you'll see where the ladies actually have interaction with the angels. But we're looking at this gravesite here. We're actually going to pay attention to these keepers, the guards. Verse 11, Matthew 28 is the last chapter in Matthew. Matthew 28:11. Now when they, who's the they? The they is the keepers. These guys are the guards, what I'm calling the watch. Now when they, because remember we do pronouns here, Cyber Church of Christ. Now they were going, okay, well, you guys not zombied anymore? No, we're fully animated now. We got all of our feeling back. We can walk and talk the whole bit. Before we were just zombied out. Okay, now what happened now? Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city and showed unto the chief priests all the things that were done. Okay, so the guys that hired you, or the bosses, I should say, you guys are in the military or in the police force? Yeah, but not for the Romans, but yeah, for the Jews, yeah. We have our own society. Okay, and so you did what now? I went back to the bosses. Now you know what I'm going to tell them? Great earthquake. This angel came down, moved the stone away, sat up on there while we're watching the whole thing. Jesus walks out, and now we're telling you that's exactly what happened. He said he was going to be raised from the dead on the third day, and he got raised from the dead on the third day. Yeah. All of that. So everything we saw. Yeah, we're telling who now? The chief priests. Are you the guys that went to Pontius Pilate saying to hey, go set a watch there, go put a guard, command that you put a guard there and watch that tomb? Yeah. Okay. So now he found out, hey, you guys were wrong, by the way. He did get out. He was raised from the dead. Oh, now what? I mean, we've already put them on assignment. We went over there to make sure his disciples didn't steal that body. But now these guys come back telling us this story about him, this angel and all. Now what? All right, verse 12. And when they were assembled with the elders, okay, what do you guys call a meeting? Oh yeah, we got an emergency meeting now. Really? Oh yeah. Now the guys that we sent down there to watch the gravesite, they're come back now saying, yeah, the stone got rolled away. The gravesite's empty now. No body in there or nothing. Jesus got out. Okay, well, let's have an emergency meeting. Let's get all the elders together here. We got to figure out how we got what today we would call it what? A situation. Yeah, we got a situation here. We sent these guards over here, and now these guards saying what all they saw, they're actually true witnesses. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, let's assemble and let's counsel. Okay, so what, two heads better than one type thing? Yeah, let's get all the chief muckety ducks together and then decide, hey, what are we going to do about this situation? We got it. We got the solution right here. They gave large money unto the soldiers. Okay, so far you called them a watch, and then you called them keepers to watch again. Now you're calling them soldiers. Okay, well, that's how I know they were soldiers then. So they were uniform. You know what soldiers do? They obey orders. If they don't, they ain't a soldier no more. Oh, so they obeyed orders. They went over there and then fought. Yeah, they obeyed orders. But now they're going to come back and tell the bosses, hey, look, guess what we saw? All right, here's what we're going to do. You guys that, Clinton, that you saw that raised from the dead and all, we got to pay you off. None of this Judas is scared. Judas, when we paid him off, he got all mad and came back and threw the money down on the floor. And then we go, well, that's blood money. We can't put that back in the treasury. What do you mean back? You mean you took money out of the treasury to pay off Judas? Yeah. Well, yeah. Then we went and bought cemetery land. We didn't want to put that back in the treasury. Oh, well, that was nice of you. Oh, so they gave large money to the soldiers. Okay, you're talking about bribe? Yeah. Saying, here's what we want you to say. Here, we're paying you to say this. All right, here's what I want you to say. His disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. Wait a minute. Disciples stole him. Let me back up here. Oh, verse 64, Matthew 27:64. Lest his disciples come by night and hey, that's the story you told Pontius Pilate. You said, hey, his disciples are going to come in the middle of the night. They're going to steal him away and then say he's risen. Well, that matches this story down here. Oh, you said you said here, say, verse 13, his disciples came by night and stole him away hey, that's the same thing you told. So you wanted that to be the story. You told Pontius Pilate, and he said, no, you go set your own people. You can put your own military guys there. So now they stole him away while he said, we got the same story. Yeah, disciples came and stole him. That's what happened. Now here, we're going to give you this large money. You better keep your trap shut. And if anybody does ask or ask you about it, you know what you're going to do? You're going to tell them the disciples came and stole him. Okay, well, it's going to be quite a story on this. How'd you get that unsealed? I mean, it was a large stone according to the scripture, and then according to the scriptures, the Jewish guys there sealed it up. Well, you better make up something. Okay. The disciples came by night, stole him away while he slept. Now, if this comes to the governor's ears, in other words, if I hear you guys go tell somebody the truth, okay, then it gets back to Pontius Pilate. That angel came, rolled a stone away, Jesus walked out. All right. And if that gets back to Pontius Pilate, you know what we're going to do? We will persuade him. Who's the him? The him is the governor. We're going to persuade and secure you. Well, that you is who? Well, the same, it's a pronoun for these soldier guys, for this watch. But you're going to come and arrest us. Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to pay us off, tell us what to say, and then threaten us. That's right. And these are supposed to be the head of the church. These are supposed to be God's chosen people. Well, yeah. Well, same as we have today, people. When people are supposed to be in the truth, but what they've got is they get caught up all in society and all, and say, hey, I've got an opinion. My opinion is Jesus wasn't raised from the dead. My opinion is Jesus got his body stolen by disciples. Okay. We're sticking with that. I see that today. People, I'll show something in the scriptures. They'll give me their opinion. I'll show them 2 or 3 verses where that opinion's wrong. And they go, well, I'm sticking with my opinion. Well, that's what's happened here to these elders. Yeah. They all took count. So you guys are plural? Well, yeah. And they say, okay, so I'm going to pay you off, tell you what to say, and then I'm going to threaten you, but you're going to jail, bud, if you do this. So you know what they did? They took the money. They took the money and did as they were taught. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Meaning what? Well, meaning the Messiah hasn't come yet. The word, if you looked at one of our other lessons here, go look at the one Christ. Christ actually means the anointed. The anointed is actually the Messiah in the Hebrew tongue. So the Messiah has come. He's the Christ. Okay, but the Jews until this day do not recognize that the Messiah has come. So they have chief priests, but they don't have a high priest. The high priest is Jesus. And he's the high priest because he got anointed by our Father. And so anyway, that's why he got arrested. He claimed he was Son of God, claimed he was the deal. And so we arrested him on Jewish charges. And what happened was we didn't have enough witnesses, so we took him to Pilate, and then we had the government kill him. Anyway, that was today. Today, this is kind of the way our Bible studies are. If you want you come study Bible, we can do one-on-one studies or a group study. But this is so. While I did this lecture today, you would be asking questions and saying stuff and going and looking at other verses while we're studying these verses. That's how much we learn while we're studying. That's what we like about Cyber Church of Christ. We don't need these other commentaries and all these other books, people's opinion. Look at all the stuff we learned just by following the truth. Anyway, I wanted to point out, here's what happens. Even people that know the truth can actually be persuaded to not follow up on it. So yeah, they took the money and did as they were told. And now we still have it commonly today. People don't believe that Jesus has come and was raised from the dead. This is just a portion of what happened after Jesus died. We're not even going through how he walked around on the planet with a hole in his side where he got pierced. No, I just took a little section here out of Matthew, but I found it interesting. Anyway, I hope you did too. Hope you learned something today. And the whole purpose of this was to get you interested, get you wanting to study. And look how interesting this topic was today. And the Bible's full of these good topics that we study from. But anyway, you see, there's a lot. Look at today's lesson. Look at all the politics in there, people's opinion. You know what? Money can make you buy people's opinions, match your opinion. Yes. Look at all the lessons all involved in this. Anyway, I hope you learned something. I want you to watch more of our videos. But it's kind of like this, but we'd encourage you. We don't have enough people. We need you to come join us. You need to be saved from the fire. That's our whole goal of the church, is to study and learn. So come study with us and come learn. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. We're the Cyber Church of Christ. We'd love to have you.